Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of I Speak African. I'm your host Yanu. So there's a topic that I neglected to speak about yesterday that I wanted to speak about in the first episode, and that topic is the country of Haiti. Now, a lot of people might not know this, or probably don't know this, but Haiti was the first African or black nation to gain its independence from Wazungu colonizers, and they gained their independence in the year 1904. So while the Haitians were free in Haiti, black enslaved Africans were still enslaved in America. Um, Unfortunately, due to racism and imperialism, the Haitian country, newly formed country, was required to pay 150 million gold francs to former slavers, former French slavers, and they were threatened by having warships anchored, you know, in the ocean under threat of destruction. So Haiti never fully recovered from that. Not to mention, about maybe 100 plus years later, America, United States of America, put an embargo on Haiti. You know, so if America being the biggest country in your hemisphere, which is the Western Hemisphere, if it's not trading with you, you're not going to make a lot of money. So Haiti, has to resort or depend on other neighboring Caribbean nations to trade with it. And America being the biggest nation in the Western Hemisphere, not trading with it really sunk its country or sunk Haiti into a depression or even a recession or depression. Um, yeah, and not to mention, America also installed very corrupt leaders as Haiti's, presidents. And whenever a good leader would come, the United States would send over the CIA and do what they do. So there was two leaders who were very bad for Haiti. One was Francois Duvalier, aka Papa Doc, and his son was Jean-Claude Duvalier, aka Baby Doc. And their leadership over the country of Haiti was very bad. They didn't do anything good for the country. Embezzled money, uh, unalived civilians, things like that. Until America got tired of them and it was like, okay, you guys are dictators. But I think I can't remember if they exiled them or what happened to those two leaders. But yeah, that's what happened. But fast forward to 2021. Uh, I don't know if you guys heard, but the president of Haiti at the time, Jovenel Moise, was unalived by, I'm putting this in quotes, Colombian commandos. And it was like five or six of them, or maybe the most was like 10, which, okay, but even if there were 10, the president should have the best security in the country. Like, for example, you can't come to America with 10 commandos. Doesn't matter what country you come from. Doesn't matter if it's wherever the best commandos you can get. Doesn't matter if they're, you know, the UK, France, Australia, wherever. You can't get 10 commandos and think you're going to storm the White House, and unalive Joe Biden. It's not happening. It doesn't make any sense. And the fact that the United States knows what's happening in remote places in the world, you know, it knows what's happening in Iran and North Korea and Russia and Afghanistan and Pakistan, but it didn't know that there was an imminent threat on one of its allies in the Western Hemisphere. That makes no sense. Makes no sense absolutely whatsoever. So then these handful of commandos, Colombian commandos, unalived the president and nearly unalived his wife. And then after that, the newly elected prime minister, um, Ariel Henry, was put into office, and he was there for about, I guess, 3 years, and no one liked him, so they revolted, and then you had an uprising of a lot of they're calling them gangs. I don't want to call them gangs, but that's what like the international news and even American news is calling them gangs. But you have these Haitians who were revolting against the government because it was corrupt and they didn't want um, Ariel Henry to be the prime minister anymore. So they took over the country, and because you know the rest of the world is not like Haiti, because it's France is like Haiti, America is like Haiti. A lot of European countries don't like Haiti because it stood up to France, and it's like, how can this small African nation or this small Afro Caribbean nation stand up to a world power? So because of that, a lot of countries don't like Haiti. So they whenever they um, give the news to Americans and other people, they try to demonize people in the country. So there's a guy, I don't know I forgot his real name, but his nickname is Barbecue. And I remember when I first saw it, when I first started watching about what's happening in Haiti, I was thinking, I know what the news is trying to get us to think. They want us to think that this guy barbecues people alive, but I was like, I know that there's a story behind that nickname. So after doing more investigation and some amateur journalism, I realized that the reason why he's called barbecue is because his father was a barbecue. His father would barbecue meat, chicken, beef, whatever, and he got the name being that his father was a chef or a cook. So his nickname is barbecue. He doesn't barbecue people alive. So I want to make that very clear. Um, so then he Ariel Henry resigned in 2024, but instead of allowing the Haitian people to conduct their own fair and democratic elections, what they did was America and the rest of the Caribbean nations had a conference, and I think it was in Jamaica or Barbados or the Bahamas. I can't remember which island it was on, but they had this conference without the say of the Haitian people, and they just elected and installed this guy to run Haiti. And the current um, president of Haiti is what's his name? His name is Gary Conille, which he was installed as the 15th Prime Minister of Haiti, and on June the 3rd of this year. Um, Another thing I want to mention is that, which is very unfortunate, is that Haiti petitioned the African Union to join. It petitioned to join the African Union. The African Union was like, no, you're not joining. Which is very unfortunate because unions or blocs are supposed to, their purpose is to protect those member states or those member countries, um, whether it's economical or it's or if it's a threat of war or belligerence. And it's very it's very sad and unfortunate that Haiti doesn't have any protection. Haiti has pretty much been alone forever. I remember during the earthquake, I was donating, I was donating, you know, I was trying to do charity work so that money could be donated to help the people of Haiti. And sadly, even a lot of Haitian Americans, they don't really care about what's happening. I'm not saying all of them, but I know a few Haitians. They're like, yeah, I don't care. I'm living in America. I'm rich or I'm well off. I don't care about what's happening in Haiti. You know, sadly to say, Joe Biden's press secretary, she's Haitian. She's Haitian American, and not once did she display any kind of remorse or uh, any kind of sorrow about what's happening to the people of Haiti. Um, and then also another thing that just blows my mind is how the president of Kenya, William Ruto, has sent, I can't remember the number, but he sent a significant amount of Kenyan police officers to Haiti to fight the so-called gangs. And I'm thinking, they have no skin in this game. Why are you sending these people, other black people, to fight other black people? That makes no sense. But the Biden administration gave the Ruto administration undisclosed amount of money, and there you have it. Now you have Kenyans in Haiti fighting Haitians, and I remember seeing how the guy barbecue was like, I don't care what color they are, I don't care if they're black or white or whoever, I'm gonna fight them. And it's very sad to see that black people are forced to fight black people because of politics. You know, and you have in Kenya, you have these protests that were going on throughout the whole entire month of uh, July and even some parts of August. So it's like maybe you should have kept those police officers in Kenya because y'all needed them, you know. And speaking of Africa, I really commend the three West African nations that form an alliance. The alliance is known as Alliance des États du Sahel, or in English, Alliance of Sahel States. So these three countries, which are Burkina Faso, Mali, and I can't think of the other state, but it's Burkina Faso, Mali, and oh yeah, Niger. So Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. They made the Alliance des États du Sahel, or the Alliance of Sahel States. They were formerly a part of ECOWAS. And if you know what ECOWAS is um, the economic community of West African states, and they don't do any work. ECOWAS doesn't do anything. So I'm very happy that Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali left ECOWAS. Um, on a side note, um, I know a lot of it's kind of funny because I've heard this many times before, and I once thought the same thing too when I was younger. Cameroonians, some that aren't very, they don't know or aren't good in geography, they'll say Cameroon's a West African nation. It's not a West African nation. It's a Central African nation. If you want to know what countries are West Africa, they belong to ECOWAS. If you do not belong to ECOWAS, you are not a West African country. Because I remember one time, this is a while ago, I was speaking to an African girl, and I was like, "Oh, where are you from?" She was like, "I'm from West Africa." I said, "Oh, okay, where?" And she was like, "Cameroon." And I was like, and I politely said, I was like, "Cameroon's not West Africa." And she was like, "Yes, it is." I was like, "Okay, you win. Like, I'm not gonna argue with you. Uh, if you believe that Cameroon is West African, then I guess it's West African." But yeah, so they left ECOWAS. Also, Burkina Faso elected a very, um, you know, Pan Africanist leader by the name of Ibrahim Traore, and he's been the president for I think about a year. And then Senegal elected, and he's only 36 years old. Senegal elected a new prime minister and a new president after they won against what was his name? Can't remember his last name was Fall, but he was their former president was very the former prime minister was very corrupt, and so the new prime minister is 44-year-old Bassirou Faye, and the president who is 50 years old is Ousmane Sonko, and he's no Bassirou Faye is the president and Ousmane Sonko is the prime minister. And I heard they've been doing good things. They wrote a letter to France and they were like, "Hey France, if you still want to do business with us the right way, we can do that. But we're not going to allow you to exploit Africa like Senegal anymore. We're not going to allow you to, take our resources and give us nothing. Like those days are over." And I really commend them and applaud them because we have so many African nations who just give away our resources. And, it's really sad. They just give away our resources. And I think African countries, when it's a trend, And it's a good trend that African countries are starting to wake up and speak for themselves and speak up against imperialism, which is very good. Because Nigeria had recently discovered lithium. And once that happened, you know who came knocking? Elon Musk. Elon Musk was like, all right, I got lithium. Let me have your lithium. And they were like, no, if you want our lithium, you need to build a Tesla factory in Nigeria. So I don't know, and that was about a year ago. I don't know what the you know, I don't know what the negotiations or deliberations are with that. But I'm glad that they were like, no, you're not going to just like take our lithium and then Nigerian people aren't going to be employed because, we have so many mines, gold mines, coltan mines, lithium mines, diamond mines in Africa. And I've seen documentaries where it's just like Africans risking their lives day after day and they get nothing. They either get, um, I saw this one documentary where it was the gold mines of Ghana and the Ghanaians who were a lot of them children because they're small. So a lot of them were going into these very unstable gold mines that were underground that could easily collapse at any time. And they would bring out like all this, gold mixed with mud and everything. And they would, filter it, wash it. And they would only be offered one, either a bag of rice or some gold scraps, which most of them, if not all of them, took the bag of rice because what can you do with gold scraps? You don't know who to fence it to, you don't know who to sell it to. So I'm glad that Africa's taken, you have leaders taking a stance and telling these big international companies that need our resources to make their devices work or whatever their vehicles work that no, um, if you want to partnership with us, we can make that work. But you're not going to just extort us and take our precious minerals and then go back to and make billions upon billions of dollars, and our people get nothing. You know. But speaking of Nigeria, I was very disappointed but not surprised at all that Peter Obi did not win. I wanted him to win because Tinubu is too old and he's been in politics, even though he's not, and this is his first time as president, he's been in politics forever. And um, these people who have been in politics forever in Nigeria and other African countries, they're going to do the same. Um, and I actually listened to Peter Obi when he was, running. I listened to many of his speeches. I saw his, his ideas and what he had um, for Nigeria had he won, and they were very broad and progressive ideas that would have helped Nigeria because Nigeria, like many African countries, has a very young nation. I mean, has a very young population, and these people are unemployed or they have to. A lot of them are actually entrepreneurs. You have a lot of people with degrees in Nigeria and other African countries who can't get jobs in their field. Like for example, if you go to medical school in Nigeria, well, you have to wait until a residency slot opens up or a slot to be a resident opens up, which is ridiculous because in America, when you finish medical school and you apply to residency, once you get in, you're a resident. And it's like in America, there are so many like the need for healthcare workers is so high because America just doesn't have enough. We don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough nurses or just anything, physician assistants or nurse anesthetists, anything dealing with healthcare. We don't have enough, which is just crazy, and it shows you that um, how much America does not want black people in because we have so many. You have other nations who do things like like Canada. Canada will allow um, African nurses and doctors to come in. The UK will allow African nurses and doctors to come in, but America's like, nope, we don't want any. Um, we don't want any black people coming in. And so, yeah, so Tinubu, 72 years old. How can he relate to a young Nigeria? He cannot. Imagine my grandfather trying to relate to me. Like, he couldn't relate to me, you know? So how can a 72-year-old Baba relate to young Nigerians, whether they're Gen Z or millennials? He can't relate. Yeah. So that's why whenever I hear people, Africans, many times I hear Africans complain about things not going for them. I'm thinking, well, you elected, you elected these people in. Like you elected these people in. Like, for example, in South Africa, they elected Ramaphosa. Well, Ramaphosa made an alliance with the DA, the Democratic Alliance. Democratic Alliance is a Wazungu South African party. They're trying to slowly but little bring back apartheid in that country. You'll see. And, you know, and it's not going to be good for them because South Africa is a very young nation. It's only 30 years old. And, um, just recently I was watching a video about the richest, like the richest cities in uh, or the richest areas in Cape Town. And the sad thing is, the black South Africans can't afford to even live in these nice cities. You know, they can't. You don't see them. You know, but like in America, you you have black people who live in really rich, affluent cities, whether it's DC or Maryland or Atlanta, Georgia, or it's California or it's Texas. You know, you have black people who live in those cities, whereas in South Africa, these nice uh, middle class to upper middle class is full of white people, and it's very sad. I remember I saw this video of YouTube video, and it's this girl, a black South African girl. She's talking about how these so-called digital nomads are coming from America, UK, Australia, and they're just hiking up the prices of living in Cape Town because for them it's cheap, but for the black South Africans, it's very expensive. And they were like, yeah, they don't need to, it's very frustrating because as a black South African, as somebody who lives in Cape Town, I can barely afford to live in Cape Town, or I can't live in a nice, safe area of Cape Town. But then again, most South Africans would say it's Nigerians are the problem. So yeah, but since let's go back to American politics, or let's go to American politics. So if you're not, you know, privy to American politics or you don't watch American politics, Joe Biden, who is the current president of the United States, he was forced to drop out. He was forced to drop out because he's like 80 years old and he's declining. There's obvious mental decline. His mental fortitude is very weak, and it's very apparent. It was very apparent when he debated Donald Trump about a month ago, and it was just like looking at your grandfather being confused at the dinner table or at a barbecue was so funny, and that was the point where the whole entire America saw that debate, not just America, but like the UK and France, they also that debate. It's the president of the United States, so they're going to see that debate, and it was so funny because they were trying to spin it and lie and say no, he was tired. He was tired. He's jet lagged. Well, the last time before that debate, he hadn't left the country since 12 days prior to that debate. So how can you be jet lagged for 12 days? That makes no sense. And then it was like, oh, he has a cold. They were making all these things up, which was very funny. But that's one thing that America can no longer deny, which was that he's in mental decline. Like if you look up Joe Biden's uh, interviews, some of his gaffes, you can tell that this guy is not suited to run. Not suited. Not only is he not suited to be the president now, he's not suited to be the president uh, in this upcoming November election, or even the nominee. Let's say that the nominee. So the reason why Joe Biden was forced out is because the super ultra rich donors, I mean like billionaires, they were like, yeah, we're not voting for it. They were like, we want Joe Biden to drop out, and if he does not drop out, we're no longer going to give the whole Democratic Party as a whole. We're not going to give you guys any more money. So then Democratic Party was panicking because there are um, other elections going on. There's senatorial elections. There's House representative. I mean House elections or House rep elections, and they all need funding too. So a lot of Democrats came together, high-ranking officials, Nancy Pelosi, I think Chuck Schumer, a lot of them came together and was like, Joe Biden, you gotta leave. Even big Hollywood actors, George Clooney was like, yeah, he wrote an op-ed, I think in the Washington Post, and was like, this Joe Biden is too old, like he has to go. So then Joe Biden, and it was so funny because I remember Joe Biden was so adamant and saying how he's not going to leave unless God Almighty makes him leave. And then boom, a week later or 2 weeks later, he's dropping out. So the thing is, what I don't like is that Kamala Harris was not elected to be the nominee. She was just installed. The same way I was talking about how, you know, how the current prime minister of Haiti was installed. Kamala Harris was installed to be the Democratic nominee, which is very undemocratic. And seeing that, you know, America and the Democratic Party loves to talk about democracy and how Trump will be the end of all democracy in America and like the rest of the world too, but which is it's very hypocritical. But yeah, they just installed Kamala Harris. But Kamala Harris, if you recall, when she ran in 2020, when she ran in 2020, she lost her state of California. If you lose your own state, that's very bad. That's not good at all. That's not a good sign if you lose your own state. So Kamala Harris lost her own state of California. She was extremely unpopular, and somehow now the American media wants us to believe that she's somehow going to just beat Donald. Like if you look at the polls now, which I don't recommend people following because polls, like look at the polls that we had 8 years ago. They were like Hillary Clinton's going to beat Donald Trump. It's going to be so bad, and no, Donald Trump won. So the polls are saying that first they were saying that Kamala Harris is just surging in the polls and she's beating Donald Trump by like 5 points, 6 points. Now polls are saying they're neck and neck. Some polls are saying she's winning, some polls are saying he's winning. But the thing is, um, Hillary Clinton was also very unpopular, but she was more popular than Kamala Harris. So if Hillary Clinton, I'm not saying it's impossible for Kamala Harris to win, but if think about this, white people, black people, Hispanics, Asians voted for Hillary Clinton. Now Kamala Harris they're calling her a black woman because they call her black woman when it's convenient and they call her Indian woman when it's convenient. So right now, because she needs the black vote, she's a black woman. When she needs the Indian vote, she'll be an Indian woman. But anyway, Kamala Harris needs to get, not only does she need to get the black vote that she lost, that Biden lost, and that now she also inherited, so she lost too. She also needs to get the white vote, and that's why she made Tim Walz her VP, because he's a Midwestern white man that the country can get behind. The same way when Barack Obama was running, even though he was extremely popular, not everyone wants to vote for a mixed person or a so-called black person. Not everyone wants to vote for that. So you need a white man in the back who will make them feel comfortable, make them feel at ease, and like, okay, you can vote for this black person. It's a good black person. You can vote for them, and that's why Kamala Harris picked Tim Walz. If you look at Tim Walz, he's a very jolly, happy, you know, dad type politician, and that's what makes white America feel happy. Um, Also, what really annoys me is this notion that because Kamala Harris went to Howard University and because she pledged AKA that she's somehow for black people, that makes no sense. Because let me tell you, there are white people, there are Asian people, there are Hispanic people, non-black, non-Afro-Hispanics who go to HBCUs in America. They go to Howard, they go to Hampton, they go to Spelman. You know, they go to a plethora of different HBCUs in America. Does that mean they're for black people? So that argument is very stupid. She went to Howard. She pledged AKA, so she's for black people. How is she for black people when she was very, very much against reparations for descendants of enslaved Africans? And also, during her time as Attorney General of California, she threw a whole bunch of black parents in jail because their children were truant. Their children were committing truancy. So because your kids aren't going to school, you're going to punish the parents by throwing them into jail. Now the parents have a record. That's crazy. So how is that being for black people? That doesn't make any sense, you know? So, but one thing I know is whoever wins, or this election is going to be very funny. Very fun and very funny. Um, Kamala Harris, she's not going to do anything for black people because the Biden administration hasn't done anything for black people. But and not just that, look at her track record. Like I said, when she was in California, she didn't do anything for black people. So if people are free to vote for whomever they choose, um, like I said, Kamala Harris, and very similar. And people are trying to. I remember I saw it like what 2 days ago. They were saying how the way Kamala Harris's campaign is going is very reminiscent of Barack Obama's campaign. Now, when Barack Obama ran in 2008, I was there. Not the campaign, but I was one of the people who voted for Barack Obama. Let me tell you, that kind of electrifying feeling, that kind of unity, and that kind of just like uh, galvanization of people is not something that is currently being displayed for Kamala Harris. It's not. People are exaggerating. Barack Obama was extremely popular. He was a fresh face, extremely popular, extremely liked and charismatic. And he was a good orator. Kamala Harris is weird and goofy and she has a very weird she goes on about just weird nonsense. Just look at some of her. But anyway, this is not a you know an endorsement of Donald Trump. No, I don't support either. I don't support either. But I will speak about something that is not not true or not factual. And what's happening now is just a whole bunch of propaganda. But yeah, that's politics, you know. But anyway, thank you for listening to my second episode of I Speak African, and have a blessed day. If you want to reach out with questions or you want to talk about things that may be bothering you, or you know you want to get something off your chest, I can be reached at ispeakafrican12@gmail.com. That's all one word, and it's all lowercase. Thank you.